I had a plan for suicide when I was 12 years old. Many things brought me to that place in my life. I struggled in school. I was the kid who spent most of the day chilling out in the hallway with the janitor. I was the kid who grew up on a first-name basis with Shirley, the receptionist, in the principal's office. And I struggled with mental health challenges, depression, anxiety. And I ultimately struggled with a deep sense of being less than. Growing up in an upper middle class community, Manhattan Beach, California, not fitting into a very narrow definition of what it meant to be normal. Now, when I was growing up, going through these challenges, my parents, mom and dad, had very different ways of reacting, of engaging with me. My mom, well, she had my back. My mom was a fighter. Let me give you a mental image of Jonathan Mooney because I love her so much, okay? A lot of folks underestimated my mom when she was growing up. They underestimated her for many different reasons. My mom wasn't the tallest woman around. On a good day in high heels, on her tippy toes, my mom was 4'11", right? Little Irish bulldog, you know? My mom was underestimated because she wasn't a woman of means. Raised my brothers and two sisters on welfare in San Francisco. And my mom was underestimated because she wasn't educated in the traditional sense. My mom barely made it out of high school, was told by a high school counselor when she was 18 that people like her have babies for a living. That's what happens to her. So my mom was underestimated by professionals and teachers because she wasn't tall, she wasn't wealthy, she wasn't educated, and she was also underestimated because she had a funny voice, a very high-pitched, squeaky voice like Mickey Mouse. But folks underestimated my mom at their own peril because my mother, she cursed like a truck driver, okay? And we ask y'all a question. If you were a teacher or a principal, did you want cursing Mickey Mouse in your office? The answer to that question, if you're at all confused, is no, okay? But that's where my mom was every day when things were going wrong for her son. How did we know she was there? Because every dog in the neighborhood was running away, right? My mom fought for me. My mom believed in me. And it's impossible to divorce my mom's belief and unequivocal love from her experience as a woman. It's impossible to divorce her ability to stand with me from her unique value system. My mom was a community organizer. My mom believed deeply in relationships and connection. She didn't care about whether I achieved gold stars. She cared about my well-being. Now, my dad, on the other hand, well, he was all about gold stars. My father had a very different background. Father grew up in Westchester, Tarrytown, right outside of New York City. He grew up in a very traditional Irish Catholic household with a very narrow definition of what it meant to be a young boy, what it meant to grow up to be a man. My father went to traditional Catholic schools. No joke, growing up, he had a nun named Sister Payne, okay? And my father was told that what little boys do was play football, and what they grow up to do is become bankers or lawyers or doctors. The male holy trinity of success, right? And my father did those things. Captain of his football team, Georgetown Law Review, a stint as a corporate attorney. And like my mom, it's impossible to divorce my father's reaction to me from his upbringing, from the message he was given about what it meant to be a man in the world. Because while my mom gave me support, my father gave me criticism. Because my father believed in bucking up and working harder, in playing through the pain. My father believed in competition and status and the measure of somebody being their paycheck. And I wanted to be like my dad. I did. Told everyone I was going to be a corporate lawyer, make money. But while I wanted to emulate my dad and I had no relationship because he had no ability to connect with me. We were distant, disconnected. So it is one of the great ironies of the world that the day that I had that plan for suicide, I found myself not with my mom, but with my father. I found myself with my dad at a baseball game. Very famous baseball game. Game 1 of the '88 World Series. Dodgers, A's. Dodgers won in the 9th inning, 2 out, walk-off home run by this guy named Kirk Gibson. He limped around the bases. I don't remember the game. What I remember is being in the parking lot after the game with my dad. I had this plan for suicide. I'm 12 years old. It's tucked under my bed at home. And my dad has nothing to say to me. We sit in silence for about 15 minutes, waiting for the traffic in Dodger Stadium to go away. So I bring out this little TV we had in the back of our minivan, black and white TV, rabbit ears, and I turn it on to listen to the coverage of the game, but mostly to break the painful silence between my father and I. And I'm terrified of what I'm going to do the next day and feeling utterly alone. And then my father reaches over and he turns off that TV and he looks at me and I can see him struggling for words. And I brace myself for what historically has been a barrage of criticism. Buck up, work harder, go back to school. What's wrong with you? He would often say. My father looked at me though, and he said, I love you. And he put his arm around me. And my father and I sat there in silence together, connected for the first time in my entire life. Never told my dad this, but I went home that night and I crumbled up that note, threw it in the trash. My father saved me. And my father saved me because to be a better father, he understood he had to be more like a mother. And in saving me, he also saved himself. Because that message of what it meant to be a man that my dad was giving me, what he got growing up, it was a dead end. It was a dead end for him, dead end for our family, but I ultimately believe it's a dead end for all of us. Because we've done good work as a community of trying to challenge that dominant value system, but if we're honest, it's still there as a cultural norm about what we should all be. If we look at our mass media, we're beaming into our houses messages of consumption. If we look at our schools, we're teaching to the test and not the whole child. And our obsession with gadgets, well, it means that we are alone even when they're together nowadays. Those value systems are strangling us like they strangled my dad. But the good news is that there's a different way. There is a global well-being movement happening right now. A movement that's redefining what it means to live a meaningful life and forcing our institutions, our workplaces, our governments to reimagine and invest in the conditions of human thriving. A global well-being movement that's redefining the meaning of life. A global well-being movement that's defining the worth of human beings not by their wealth. A global movement that understands that the quality of one's life is measured by the depths of one's relationships. And a global well-being movement that refuses to accept disconnection in our neighborhoods and in our relationships. And this global well-being movement is being led by women and a few good men who think like them. And we need y'all to be a part of that movement, to fight for that movement, to fight for a different understanding of what it means to live a meaningful life. I know I need it. I know that to be a better father to my 3 boys, to be a better man, I got to be more like a woman. And I know that for us to have a better world, we need more women, not to lean in and appropriate a dominant value system, but to push back and reimagine that value system. Reimagine what a meaningful life is. Reimagine a meaningful life for women, yeah, but ultimately for all of us. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.